So, Monsignor, it's fantastic meeting you here. Share with me a little bit about your background, your story, and how you are now in Florence for so long, and what, tell me more about your life.
Thank you, Francesco. I'm at an age where it's a great pleasure to share with people the facts of one's life. I came to Italy as a student when I was 18. That's well more than 50 years ago. And I fell in love with Italy. In the first years, I lived in Venice. And then I made the terrible mistake of coming to Florence. I told myself I would never love Florence more than Venice. And of course, I was wrong, because in a matter of very few years, I became practically addicted to the city. I wanted to study the history of art, and here that was almost the only thing to do. The city is so rich in masterpieces, which in the 1960s, when I came, were still all in their places, which meant visible from the street. Now, many of them, for conservation reasons, have had to be put in museums. And what you see as you walk through the streets are copies, which are still very beautiful. But in my time, you still saw the originals. And this, for me, was the road to becoming an art historian. I then went back and got a PhD at Yale and taught for a time in the States. But it was something more, because the things that I saw, the things that Florence shows visitors who open their, not only their eyes, but also their hearts, is its spirit. It shows them images of the great religious figures and the great historical figures in whom Florentines have found inspiration across the centuries. And I was very deeply touched by this. I was touched in a particular way by the religious content. And if today I am a priest, it really is because I first was a student in Florence and then an art historian. And finally, I said, the meaning of all of these works is so important to me that I want to enter personally into that tradition. Obviously, most people do not go that far. Everyone, however, at some level is touched in his or her humanity by the images of courage, of hope, of commitment that Florentine art presents. And that had a very deep impact on me. And it became really what I do as an art historian. I have published books and articles. I'm the director of the Cathedral Museum. But my real interest is not simply giving people the names of the artists and the dates of the works, but rather some of the real life emotion that was part of the process of creativity that made these works. This is something happily I really am able to do, because Piazza del Duomo, the cathedral complex, is still a living monument. The cathedral is a real church where people come to pray, to meditate. And when we speak about its art, we're speaking about things that still live in real people who come from all over the world, who may not be Catholic or Christian, who may not believe in anything in religious terms, but who see in the faces of our statues and the painted figures a reality of human intensity, of human life that they rarely see elsewhere.
Fantastic, very interesting. Very